Hello everyone. So last night I sat down and made this card, I don't know, rather quickly. I was in the middle of getting the kids ready for bed and this idea popped in my head, so I felt like creating it while I had the time. So I grabbed a piece of navy cardstock and my MFT Sun, Moon, and Stars Dynamics, but I'm only using the stars from the set. And I have a sentiment stamp from my Starry Sentiment set, so I wanted to make sure I didn't die cut where I wanted to stamp the sentiment. So ran that through my Big Shot, and then just got the stars out of the way. And then I'm going to back that with, I wanted gold cardstock, but I didn't have any in my stash, so I just grabbed a piece of a dark yellow cardstock, and then my Delicata Golden Glitz ink, and my little Tim Holtz mini ink blending tool. And just applied ink where it's going to show through where the stars are, because there's no point covering this whole piece of cardstock and wasting all the ink when you're not going to see any of the rest of it. So I just blended on some ink where it's going to show through. So really quick and simple, nothing too fancy. Again, it doesn't have to be neat, because as long as where the stars show through, that's the only part that's important. So once I've got that all blended, I grabbed my little Heidi Swap confetti stencil that I showed in a previous video. So I grabbed that, and I like that one because it's got all the different little stars in different shapes. So again, kind of figured out where I was going to put a few different stars just here and there to kind of finish off the front of the card. And for this, I just used like the edge of the mini ink blending tool. I need a little bit more practice with this. I should have grabbed like a sponge dauber because I only wanted to ink up certain stars, and some of them were kind of closer together, and I made a bit of a mess doing this, but practice takes perfect. And yeah, like I said, I made this kind of later in the evening, and my creative energy was really starting to ebb by this point. So once I was happy though with the amount of stars, I used my little clear stamp positioner and then this sentiment from my Starry Sentiment set, and again stamped that with the golden Delicata ink as well, and then added a couple more little stars just around the sentiment because it was kind of fitting. And yeah, this is also where I got like ink where like past the stencil and stuff. So yeah, it would probably work better too to maybe like tape down the cardstock, tape down the stencil, and be a little more cautious. But I did this whole card in maybe 15 minutes altogether. Actually, once I was done the video and uploaded it, this went a lot faster than I thought. So, which is pretty good considering how big of a mess I ended up making, which you guys will see in a minute. Oh, yeah. Anyway, I showed this in a previous video as well. I just took my Ranger Perfect Pearl, like gold Perfect Pearl powder, and brushed it over all of the stenciled stars and the sentiment, and then just used the remainder and brushed over all this gold ink that I blended onto the yellow cardstock. I just love how it makes this golden glitz ink just pop. So love it, love it, love it. And then I took my little Swiffer cloth, which again I'd shown in that video as well. The Swiffer cloth is the only thing that seems to work to kind of remove all that extra shimmer from the cardstock. I've tried paper towel or a tissue and different things, and anything else either smears the ink or it just doesn't pick up the powder as well. Again, if I had kind of worked a little harder on this and taken my time, I would have done better on this dark cardstock, but I was in a major hurry. So it worked pretty good though. And then I just grabbed my little mister bottle, and I did this off camera because I didn't want to get water everywhere, but you just kind of mist it in the air and then run the cardstock through just like you would with perfume. And that just kind of helps to set the powder so then it's permanent. So I did that. And then I'm applying adhesive on the back of the navy cardstock. And rather than adhere it straight to the yellow paper, I am backing this with a piece of just clear transparency that I again have shown in a video a while ago. Oh, the one I did where I did that little congratulations shaker card. I got a box of transparencies from Staples like eons ago, and it's just lasted me forever. So I backed this with a transparency, and then I grabbed my Jody dimensionals, the ones I get from Jody that I always link to. These are the circle shaker set. I showed the square set in one of my Halloween videos, but this time I want to do circles, and that was the whole kind of idea for this card, was to make the stars part of a shaker card. And rather than making the whole back of this card a shaker card and having to fill it with a ton of stuff, using these little circles was perfect. So I doubled them all up, and same with all the other dimensionals. I doubled everything up so it's twice as thick, just to give a little bit more space, because I had these Martha Stewart little gold micro beads in my stash, so I wanted to give enough space for them to kind of shake around. So I poured those in and then backed all that with that yellow cardstock that I applied the ink to. And this is where, when putting the lid on, I ended up dumping the beads all over my card front. And yeah, so I shut the camera off and I had to get my vacuum cleaner to vacuum those things up. They went everywhere and they're like staticky and it was a mess. But thankfully with the vacuum cleaner, I got most of it cleaned up. I still think I have a few just, it's clinging to everything, but got it all cleaned up. Backed that again onto my card, which was another piece of navy cardstock. And then I found a lighter blue cardstock in my stash that I used on the inside of the card just so that it's lighter to write on. And then I thought to finish it off, I would use the same stencil again. So I just inked up a few random little stars with the same little blending tool and the golden ink just to bring it all kind of together. And then I still had some powder left over on that little fluffy brush. So rather than pick up more powder, I just kept tapping it on top of the stars. So they kind of pick up that bit of powder and just finish it off. And then I still had those die cut stars left over from the front. So rather than tossing those, I just added that to the card and that's all there was to it. So as always, there'll be a link below to my blog post with a link to all the supplies used. Thank you guys so much for watching and I will see you all next time.